Hello, everyone. How are you? I'm going to wait for some people to jump on with us, get this live going a little bit. If you pop into the chat room, hit that like button or say hello. I'd love to say hi to you this evening. There we go, folks. How is everybody tonight? Hope you're doing well. Good evening from Daytona Beach, Florida. Hello, Lori. How are you? Bonnie, hello. Ocean, hi. Teresa, hello from Kentucky. Hello from Indiana. Hello from Canada. Hello, everybody. Wendy from Kentucky. Amy. Where is Eric? Not sure. That is the thing right now. I do apologize. I know I put a video up earlier. I really thought Patrick was coming on tonight. Patrick did not come on tonight. And I put this video out letting you guys know that Patrick was not going to do a live tonight. And then all of a sudden, Ernie popped up. Ernie's back tonight. And Ernie's main thing was to say that Patrick was not going to do a live tonight. It's Santa Claus. Ho, ho, ho. Yes, it is. Ernie basically said that Patrick was not going to do a live tonight. The good thing there is, evidently, they spoke to an attorney today, and the attorney kind of said, hey, there's a right way and a wrong way of doing these lives, folks. And I think tonight was going to be one of those lives to where Patrick was going to address some of the questions head on. And from what we've been told and what's been said, and even he has even said it, he gets very upset and very kind of hostile where it comes to some of these questions. And I think the attorney stepped in today and said, hey, buddy, maybe that's not the right way to go here. Maybe we just kind of cancel the lives for a little bit and we kind of just get ourselves situated and figure out a way to go about these. Cow Creek, West Virginia. Hello, Joey. And let me tell you, that's kind of the best news I've heard in a little while because you've got to be really careful here, folks, on what you do, what you say, and you don't want to come into this half cocked, fully cocked, and just start taking on people. There's a lot of bad feelings right now where this is concerned, where the Whittakers are concerned, and how people have used them, taken money from them, stole from them, however you want to see it, however you want to view it. Um, there's a lot of bad feelings there. And so I think the attorney stepping in saying, guys, back up a little bit. Let's not, just jump off the deep end here. Let's kind of get yourself situated. Probably was the best thing for them. Now, Ernie did say that they had the opportunity to speak with Betty, Kenny, and Larry today after they had went to the attorney. He did not get into full detail on what was going on. He just said that he had the opportunity to speak to them and that they were trying to work things out. Eric has locked himself in a story that he can't get out of. Could be. Could be right now. Like I said, that is up for you guys to make your decision on. I'm just giving you the facts that have been presented to us through the videos and through the platforms, and that's the way we're going with it. From what I'm going to give you is what I hear, and I'm coming back to you. A lot of people don't have some of the platforms, so we're just sharing information. Kirby, correct. Jesus does love you, and he did die for our sins. And bless you, brother. Praise God with you. Um, he Ernie also spoke about they were going to try to do something nice for Timmy this week. They were going to give him a guitar package that had been donated. And with everything that's going on, they were unable to do that at this time. They said that they would probably hold off on that, and they have to until they can figure out what's going on with Timmy and everybody. Um, God be with the family and help Miss Betty. Exactly right. Exactly. You know, and I've always said it, guys, pray for them. I think right now that, you know, you would not believe the power of prayer where it comes to this family right now. And I think that's what we need to do for them. You know, one of the things that they talked about today, and they keep making reference to it, is that they're looking for a piece of property and they're looking for maybe a double wide that they can do something with that meets American Disability Act's requirements. They've got to be able to widen the doors. They've got to be able to get a wheelchair through the doors. You got to have a ramp on it. The bathrooms have to be big enough in order for a wheelchair to get into the bathrooms. The showers have to be situated to where you can get people with a disability into the showers. Um, I know this because I had a niece who had cerebral palsy, and that was one of the requirements. You've got to make this home livable for people that do have a situation and who is handicapped. Um, I'm still trying to figure out what the land side of it is. I did go into the records today of Raleigh County in West Virginia, and I did look to see if 17.6 acres of land was owned by the Whittakers, and it is showing me 17.6 acres of land is owned by the Whittakers. You click on the map button, shows you the house. So, as far as I know, the Whittakers own that house. They don't own the property the house sits on, but they own the land around it. Um, I don't know, guys. It is just really strange. Who told you what the attorney said? That's what Ernie said today. That they had had a meeting with the attorney, and the attorney told them to kind of slow their horses a little bit, slow everything down. I think the attorney wants to make sure they don't get into trouble anywhere. Um, Also, they made reference, the attorney basically said, look, you got to cut off donations. No more donations until we can figure out a proper way to get the donations to the Whittaker family. Evidently, somebody had posted something yesterday. And hello, how are you? Who is Faith? Who is Ernie? Ernie is a gentleman. He is a bluegrass promoter. As far as I know, he's in Florida. He popped up yesterday on a live feed that Patrick was supposed to do. Ernie popped up. He is a friend of Patrick. He's an acquaintance of Patrick somewhere down the line. He is now shown up, and from what I've gathered, his intentions are good intentions. I don't know. I just know what he's saying. He is telling everybody that he has good intentions here, and that his whole goal is to make sure that the Whittakers are taken care of. Anthony, Ernie's the guy that hangs out with Bert on Sesame Street. He is. Um, let's see. 80 is 80 years old and very vulnerable. Yes. I bet you Betty has aged probably 20 years in the last couple days. And looking at her and watching her on these videos and things like that, you can clearly see that this has taken its toll on Betty. And Betty wants her family back. Guys, you got to remember this is the only thing that Betty's ever known. Um, she's always known about being around her family. And at the age of 14, from what I've read, and I've read a couple articles on this, at the age of 14, she told her mom that she would be the one not to get married and she would take care of her family and she would take care of the brothers and the sisters. And evidently, that's exactly what she's done her entire life. And so Betty went from being a sister to all these people and an aunt to all these people to basically being a mother to all these people. So Betty, you know, a lot of people may have hard feelings where Betty's concerned on things that have gone down and, different things that have happened. But Betty's had a hard life. This entire family's had a hard life. But Betty was the one at the age of 14 who said, I'll take over the family. Now Larry has always been kind of the spokesperson because I really think that when it's all said and done, Larry's mental capability is a lot better than the others. I think Larry understands a lot more than everybody else does. Um, yeah, from what we're being told on these videos, if they get a home and wherever they get a home, I don't know how that's going to work out. I hope these questions are answered down the road. But wherever they get a home, they're going to have someone there 24 hours a day with them. You look at the house now that they just come out of, you look at the living conditions that they were in, you need a caregiver. There is no way to get around it. They cannot go back into a quote unquote new home and live the same way that they've lived in the house that they just come out of. No, they're going to have somebody that's making sure that they are bathed, that they get a good meal. Um, During the winter, they're warm. During the summer, they're cool. Um, you're just going to, if they get hurt, they're going to have to be taken care of. You're going to need caregivers. There's no other way around it. You'll need caregivers. Caregivers are expensive. They are very expensive. And you would hope that the state would come in and give some sort of help. One of the issues that you run into, and you've heard it over, the couple years when Mark was doing it and things like that. I don't know how many of them have Social Security cards. I don't know how many of them have birth certificates. I don't know. You just kind of don't know. And I think that was one of the things when Eric had taken Ray Ray to the doctor. I don't know about his ID. I don't know if they have IDs. I don't know if they can get IDs. I don't know, you know. So when you start going into different things and you don't have this documentation, it gets harder and harder. As well as anybody, just, with us, take a check and try to get it cashed and things like that. You need ID, you need proper identification. You go to vote, you need ID, you need proper identification. So I don't know if they even have that stuff. The state doesn't have funds like that for two caregivers. You could be right there. I know that they, to be honest with you, they probably give them to them 8 hours a day. And I don't know if the caregiver that the state would even give them would be somebody who's kind of quote unquote a maid to them. You know, a lot of caregivers are somebody there to make sure that, you know, they're well, they're bathed, they're taken care of. I don't know. I think a lot of money would have to be put up for somebody to come into the home and actually make sure the home is cleaned on a daily basis and make sure that they're cleaned, 24 hours a day. You do. You've got to show ID for everything these days. And so that's the thing. I don't even know the documentation they have or if they could even, produce documentation on certain things. Um Catfish Billy. What happened? Well, nothing really. It was basically that Patrick was going to do a live tonight. He did not do a live tonight. He put a post up saying, "Guys, not going to do it. The attorneys have told us not to do a live tonight." And as soon as he put the post up, all of a sudden Ernie pops up, who is a friend of Patrick's, and said, "Hey guys, there's not going to be a live tonight." He did about a 20-minute live. He just covered a few things about them going to the attorneys, talking to the attorneys about how to handle certain things. The certain things that were addressed was how to handle these live chats that they do. And the attorney, I think, just kind of told them to slow down a little bit. Don't go feet first into these. If you watch Patrick do one of these lives, he gets attacked extremely hard in these lives. When he sees all the mad faces and the attacks start coming at him, he gets riled up. He gets angry because I think that in his head, he thinks he's doing something good. People are seeing it in a different light. And next thing you know, there's a confrontation. Shouldn't be a confrontation. This should all be about the Whittakers. But Ernie made a comment tonight about the people that are popping on and who are getting angry and getting upset. Folks, we've seen this before. We've seen people take advantage of this family. We've seen people get to a point to where you don't know who's good for this family. And so people get angry. People get upset when you start hearing stories that money's being mishandled. People get angry, people get upset. And when you keep showing up every day and you're one of the people that a lot of people think you have, helped in this situation, well, people are going to get angry. You can expect that. And I know it would be all great if it was sunshine and roses, but there's a lot of angry people out here right now with everything that's going on in this situation. Susie Q, at least he's got sense enough to see an attorney. Yes. Isn't that one of the best things that he has possibly probably done? Is gone to an attorney and said, "How should we handle this?" Um, Now, Ernie did make reference to the fact that a post had gone out somewhere for people to donate money. Even Ernie said tonight on Patrick's feed, "Do not donate money right now." They had talked to the attorney today to try to figure out a correct way for money to be donated. So I think the attorney that they went to is steering them in the right direction. You hope that the attorney will step up and say, "Guys, we'll figure it out here. Don't do it on your own. We'll figure it out." You hope that there is legal help here. Now, how good is the attorney? We don't know, but we know that they did go to an attorney. Evidently, Kenny, Betty, and Larry went to the attorney today to see what they could do. That was not really discussed very much, just that they had went to the attorney to see what they could do to try to get the family back together. From what I'm understanding there, and this is what Ernie said, it's going to take a little while. And you know as well as I do, you have to have somewhere for them to go. You've got to make sure that everything is taken care of. So, yeah, it's in my opinion, it will take a little while. The state will keep them. How are they doing? As far as I know from the comments that I've seen, Patrick has made comments on it. Eric has posted a comment on it. As far as I know, Lorraine, Timmy, and Ray Ray are doing well. They are being taken care of. They are being fed. They're happy, as happy as they can be, evidently, right now. But as far as I know, they're doing well. Who on earth is Ernie? Again, Ernie was a gentleman that popped up last night. Evidently, he is an acquaintance or a friend of Patrick's. He has now stepped in to kind of help Patrick get things going in the right direction. The only thing that I know about him is he's a bluegrass promoter, and he is here to try to help Patrick doing what he's doing. How does BJ keep getting away with what she's doing? Guys, let's remember something here. BJ is Larry's daughter, and we talked about this last night. There is a bond between a daughter and a father. And if you've got a daughter, you understand it. If you've got a son, you understand it. Um, she's got her demons right now, and pray that these demons are taken care of down the road. But it's up to BJ right now to get rid of those demons. That's plain and simple. You can put her in rehab 15 times and say, "BJ, let's get you help." But if BJ doesn't want to get help, BJ's not going to get help. It's up to BJ to get help. Um, when you've got something like that, with any addiction, got to pay for that addiction. And sometimes paying for those addictions are basically to the point of stealing. And I think that has happened a lot here where BJ's concerned. BJ has learned that if she steals and she lies, she can help fund her addiction. And we've watched the videos and we've seen things. She's a drug addict right now, and we know this. And um, the only thing I can tell you to do right now is pray for her, get her to the point where one day she wakes up and has a revelation of saying, "I don't want to do this anymore," and hopefully everything will turn out all right with her. Mm-hmm. No, he doesn't need to keep enabling her, and I get that, and I really do. Um, and that's a conversation that somebody's going to have with Larry. And we um, we saw the one video where Patrick was talking to Larry about that they were trying not to be mean, but evidently from the videos we've seen, BJ's abusive to this family. BJ, hits this family. She's hit Timmy. Uh, evidently she's abusive when she's probably high and doing things and looking for money, and she's abusive to this family. So is she what is she what this family needs right now? No, she's not. But again, that's Larry's daughter. They view her as family, and sometimes it's hard to just walk away from a member of your family. Drug court treatment or jail. You could end up at that. I'm sorry, BJ is a thief, and so is Larry. Like I said, guys, a lot of times desperate people do desperate things. And, you've seen the videos. You've seen gas being stolen. You've seen, where copper's been stolen. You've seen there's a habit that's having to get paid for here. And got to find the money somewhere. Jackson, Santa is here. Um, Let me see here. What did that say? Uh, Ernie already admitted they were going to benefit financially from all this. They are. They really are. He made the reference last night. Somebody had asked him if he was making money on this, and he had made the reference of saying no. But if there was ever a time that money could come into the picture, that, he got a piece of the cake, he liked to eat too. And so, guys, there's a lot of money that goes into these sites, and people get on and clicks and watches and views and things like that. There's a lot of money that comes into these sites, and what they do with them and what they do with the money, that's the key thing, is how they distribute the money. Mhm. Where is Larry? We're not sure. We believe Larry was in the back of the pickup truck the other night when Betty was on the live with Patrick. They kept turning around, looking back into the back seat, and then we heard the back door shut. We believe that was Larry. So Larry's still evidently floating around there. He was with Kenny this morning. He was with Betty this morning, and they had went to the attorney's office to have a conversation with the attorney from what Patrick and Ernie said. If Patrick owes child support, folks, I don't know anything about Patrick owing child support. That is something I've never heard. And so I'm not sure there. Jamie says, "What have I missed?" Jamie, not much. You basically missed that Patrick was going to do a live tonight. He canceled the live because the attorney told him not to do the live tonight. Now, I will tell you that when Ernie popped on tonight and said that what was going on, that he said that they will probably do a live tomorrow. I know that he had made reference to the guitar that they had somebody donate to Timmy, and he wanted to show everybody the guitar and how Timmy could play it once he gets it. And but with everything that's going on, Timmy won't be able to get it evidently for a little while. D, content creation is not easy work. It is not. Um, I give it to Mark. Some of the videos and things that he has put together and you get to watch and things like that. Guys, I've worked in radio and I've worked in television over 40 years of my life. When you have to build things out of nothing except a story, it is extremely hard to do. Um, an hour-long program can take months to complete because you have to be thorough about what you do. Um, Earlier tonight when I come on with you and I said, "Hey guys, I'm running a high school football game. We've got that in the area." Those things kind of run themselves. You get to a point where two teams are playing and it just unfolds. But when you have to tell a story to someone, it's a little different. You've got to build things. You've got to do things and produce these things. It's a little different. Let's see. Patrick Daughter speaked out, showed screenshots of horrible. Patrick speaks of her again. I don't want to get into the family battle there with Patrick and his daughter. I'm not sure on that. Did Eric leave? Not sure. From what I understand and from what I've heard in videos and seen things, I believe Eric has. I believe he has headed back down to Georgia and he has gone to where his family's at. Um, yeah, now they've got to the point where somebody made reference. They're not building content right now, they're just doing lives. You got it. And a lot of clicks are generated with lives. And a lot of views are generated with lives, and that's the thing you got to look at. Good evening, Sandy. How are you? Mm, says, pay attention, people. This is too sketchy. There's a lot going on here, folks. There is a lot going on here. When new people pop into the picture, one of the first things you look at is, who is this person? What are they doing? Guys, I don't have a connection to the Whittakers. What you see and what I see is what you and I are talking about. I try to convey to you what I've seen each day from platforms that maybe some of you don't have. I try not to lie to you. I'd never do that to you. I try to be upfront with you. One of the things Ernie had made reference to tonight was that people could change one or two words and change the whole meaning of something. That's true. That's correct. I try to be very upfront and honest with you. Everything that's put out, I'm not taking any sides here. The only people that I'm concerned about with right now, and I've said it from the beginning, are the Whittakers. I think each and every person on these feeds, if you're watching the Whittakers, there's a little special place in your heart for the Whittakers. We've never seen anything like these people, folks. I I grew up and was raised in Virginia. We had heard about this family in West Virginia. My family grew up in rural Virginia to where we had outhouses. We had uh, cold storage to where a stream kept your food cold, things like that. We had ice houses to where, we didn't have refrigerators. And we would go to families' homes. And when you would go to families' homes, you'd go in and you'd say, hey, oh, I got to use the bathroom. Where do I go to the bathroom? And they point to the little outhouse on the side of the house. and it's about 20 feet away from the house. Well, guess what? It's just a hole in the ground with a shed over top of it. When the hole gets full, you cover the hole. Pull lye down in it. You pull lime down in it. You know what I'm saying? It's guys. It's Yep, yep. Said we had an outhouse. It is a very strange way of living, folks. But you would be surprised the people that still live in those conditions. It is done on a daily basis all across this country. You would not believe the people that. And again, I'll tell. Like I said last night, Google it and just ask how many people have no working bathrooms in this country, and you'll be surprised at the numbers. Wooden porta potties. Yes, you got it. Lovebug 53. I have an outhouse. There you go, folks. Lovebug has an outhouse, and they're still out there. Um, whose idea was this anyway? Guys, the Whitakers had kind of, when Mark pulled away from them, I think it had kind of settled down a little bit, and then I think Patrick had gotten back involved. And when Patrick got back involved, I think Eric had reached out to Patrick, and this is only what I'm going off of. I think Eric had reached out to Patrick and said, "Hey, is there any way I can help you?" Um, Next thing I know, it just blew up. I think the whole goal was to try to get them a home and try to build them a home. And Eric had went to see the Amish. The Amish said, "Hey, we'll build them a house. We'll get it done within just a couple days." And BJ got into the picture. BJ evidently got out of jail. When BJ got out of jail, it then turned into a protective order issue. I think the when he missed the court date, the state come down to check on everything to make sure it was okay. They left. And then I think when it was all said and done, Eric had made phone calls to talk to somebody about the protective order. And I think the state kind of stepped in because they had seen the living conditions that they were living in, and the state had to step in and do something. Um, it's Larry and BJ's fault, guys. That's up to you to decide. I'm I'm not going to do that. That's not how I roll. Yep, Patrick reached out to Eric. Okay. Um, I knew that these two guys had come about to try to help each other, to help the Whitakers. And so, what happened to Mark's girlfriend? Not sure. Not sure what happened to Mark's girlfriend. Mm. Eric was hesitant, but he met with Patrick. Guys, I'm sure when you see this family for the first time and you see what's going on with them, there's no doubt in my mind a lot of people would sit there and say, "I want to help this family. I want to see what we can do for this family. Look at the way this family lives. Look at, we want to do something for this family." A lot of things get in the way, though. And one of the worst things in the world that gets in the way, and you know it and I know it, is the almighty dollar. And when the almighty dollar gets in the way, it's every man for himself, it's every woman for herself. People do crazy things where it comes to money. I think Mark was treated unfairly. I'm with you. I agree. And again, like I said, I don't have a dog in this fight, but I think Mark was. I think Mark got into something that at the end of the day, the only way Mark could get out of it was retreat away from it. And when that last really big incident happened where BJ had called and said that Larry had died, I think Mark had to get out of it. And for people who don't know this, Um, BJ had started calling Mark and asking for money because she said her daddy had died. And Mark got on a plane from California, got in a car. They get here. They basically sat there and said, "We're here for the funeral." And guess who's sitting in the truck driving down the driveway and gets out of the truck? It's Larry. Larry's alive. BJ's in the truck. She runs into the trailer. She doesn't want to talk to Mark. And finally, she does. And I think that was one of Mark's last, you know, I think that was the breaking point. You know, a lot of people make reference to Timmy's daddy. One of the videos I saw, to be honest with you, I don't think they know who Timmy's daddy is. The way that they talk, and somebody had made reference to that Lorraine had been sexually abused and raped, and they don't know who Timmy's daddy is. I love Timmy. I think a lot of people love Timmy. I think Timmy is really the one that people they just kind of fell in love with quick. I think he's that lovable kid figure, even though he's in his 40s. I think he's that lovable kid figure, though, that is sitting there watching Barney, who is coloring, who is wearing the sunglasses, who's just having a good time with everything he's doing. I think Timmy's the one that really started pulling the heartstrings here lately, and everybody fell in love with Timmy. The DNA, guys, we've talked about this. The DNA, it all stemmed from a set of twin brothers. The twin brothers got married to two different women, started having babies, and when they started having babies, the babies started marrying one another. They started having sex with one another, and uh, somebody made reference to the fact that when it all first started, the tree slightly bent, but then it got to the point where it was double cousins marrying double cousins, and they said that the family tree kind of just went into a circle. And that's where a lot of the defects and deformities and things like that that you're seeing come into play. Okay. Says Layla, you don't know anything about the Whitakers. Guys, I'll be honest with you. I know just about as much as you do and what you see. All I'm doing is talking to you and reporting what I see. And I come on here and do these for the simple fact of a lot of people don't have the platforms that see some of these videos. And I'm just reporting back to you what I see on the videos and let you know what's going on. So if if that's if that hurts your feelings, if that is offensive to you, I'm sorry, but that's what I do. I'm not going to sit here and pick sides. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to do anything like that. I'm just going to tell you what I see. Um, what happened to their dogs? I'm not sure. A lot of people has asked that question. We talked about it the other night. I would assume that they are with Larry and Kenny. Larry has the trailer right on up there, and then Larry and Kenny has his. I would assume that they're there. I know the video they showed the other night of Betty laying on the couch. I believe that was Patrick's dog with her laying on the couch. Lorraine always kept pointing to her head. Guys, here's one of the things that uh, pay attention to those videos. If you go back and you watch that, I think Lorraine actually took a liking to Eric. And I know Eric was bringing her the potato chips all the time and things like that, but you could see that Lorraine was trying her best to tell Eric something. They said it was a bee sting and said that every time she'd point to her head, there was a bee sting. I'm hoping that whoever has her right now and who's ever over top of her, I hope that they really look into that situation. I've got a feeling there's something there with Lorraine that's hurting Lorraine. I don't know if she's had a fall. I don't know, but there's something there hurting Lorraine. And I think Lorraine was trying to tell Eric she had pain right there. And they kept saying it was a bee stung her there. You would think though that she would only do that one time, maybe twice if a bee stung her and she's showing. I think there was more damage there somewhere, and I don't know where it come from, but hopefully somebody has checked that out. She was probably trying to say where BJ had hit him. And guys, if BJ had hit her and she is still suffering the effects of that, maybe that's what she was trying to tell Eric. Maybe she was trying to tell Eric, hey, it hurts right here. I'm hurting. I've got some issues here. And but hopefully somebody looked into that. Right. I'm moving in with Patrick. Um, Lulu, surely they've given her a full medical exam. I pray they did. I really do. I hope that they find out. Maybe she had a headache. Exactly. I don't know what the headache was coming from. I don't know if something was causing it, but I'm hoping somebody looked at it. Yep. When Santa's got issues with it, then you've got problems. Could be migraines. Could very well be. And you think about the communication factor that's not there. Uh, That right there, folks, if somebody just did that to you every day, you would think, okay, the head's hurting. Could be a migraine. She could be telling them she is suffering migraines. Like I said, it could be worse. I don't know. A decent home should have been rented or taken care of a while back. But guys, a lot of money was filtered into this family when Mark was with them. You got to remember, this family couldn't take care of $5. Better yet, $100,000. The roof was done on the house. Some things were done inside. There was a lot of money that was given, and Mark even made reference to the fact that it had got to the point where they were calling him on a regular basis, and he was filtering money into them. One of the higher amounts was $14,000 that was put into an account in West Virginia for them to draw from. So there's documentation on that. He can show that and prove that. Um, I am too. I'm glad they're being taken care of. I really am. I'm hoping that it is something that um, is done for a while. I want the family to get back together, but I want to make sure it's done properly and right. They never got paid this time. Not sure. I don't know what was given. I know that there's a couple text messages there between Patrick and Eric talking about the money. I know that there was talks about Patrick getting money to help fix his house. I know there was money raised for Eric to stay at the Airbnbs, Patrick to stay at the Airbnbs. I don't know. I don't know what was given to the Whittakers at this time. Yes, Timmy's 46, correct. Why did it take so long for the state to get involved? Good question. I really think it had boiled down to some of this rural area and some of these families in these areas. If they were good living that way and they weren't causing any problems to anybody, I think some of these states are just good with the simple fact of them living that way. They weren't famous at one time. They just kind of lived their lives. They just did what they had to do. Um, I think it was finally brought to the forefront. I think people had started going to the house on different things like the incident with BJ. I think the state kinda had to step in and, you'd be surprised how people live, and there's a lot of people that just kinda say, "Look, we're good with you living like this. We don't we're not gonna step in." I think that family had went like that for years to where the state just really never stepped in on anything. They live in such filth. Guys, I don't did anybody ever teach them to clean? That was the thing. Did anybody ever really Eric talked about, Ray Ray going to the bathroom and him showing him how to wash his hands after he used the bathroom. You know as well as I do when you're a kid, one of the things you learn is how to wash your hands after you use the bathroom. Nobody ever sat there and said, go to the bathroom and you know what to do afterwards. Somebody actually sat there and said, put soap on your hands, wash your hands, dry your hands, and head on out. I think a lot of this was the simple fact of there wasn't anybody around to show them how to do this stuff. So they lived the way that their parents lived and their parents lived, and it's a bad situation there. They were never raised, they were bred. That's an interesting comment. That's a very unique comment and one that I kind of agree with right now. They were never raised, they were bred. And that's really sad. Uh, that's disturbing. It really is. The situation isn't uncommon. It's not. No. You go to a lot of different states and you go into a lot of these smaller communities and you go into some of these backwood communities and you see things that it's unbelievable, folks. It really is. We do all need grace. It's easy to judge. It is easy to sit there and throw stones. And I'm telling you that now, folks. It is easy to do that. We just need to have grace, plain and simple. We need to pray for them. We need to make sure this family is done right, that people do right by this family. Don't just use this family. They're on this huge stage now, folks. They the Whittakers did not ask to be famous. In the process of everything, they've become famous. And there's no doubt in my mind we would sit there as a community, and if they had a weekly television show, just like we do right now, we're watching everything unfolding. We would watch the Whittakers weekly, no doubt. Feel sorry for Timmy. He was having so much fun. He was learning a lot, and that's the thing. A lot of people look bad at Eric, and a lot of people look bad at Patrick, but Timmy was doing things. Timmy was starting to come out of that shell. This is a young man, 46 years old, has spent his entire life sitting on a front porch looking across the road to what? A trailer? That's all he knew. I am curious about the fact that they make reference to he went to high school and he graduated. I would like to know more about that. I would like to know a lot more about that. There was a video that was out, and somebody had made reference to the fact that Patrick was trying to kiss Betty, and I think that he was playing to begin with, and I think Betty got to the point where maybe there were some feelings there. You got to remember, Betty hasn't been around somebody that wants to show her affection, and when he's playing with her, I think it may have got to the point where Betty thought there was some affection there, and then I think it kind of simmered down. But I think it maybe had got to kind of a strange place there. That was wrong on his part. It was. And I think he was trying to play, and I think he was trying to have fun, but they didn't know how to act to that. Special education till they're 21 and then they graduate if needed. Okay. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, guys, I'm going to hop off here for the night. I've had a long night. I've got to get back up in the morning and do a couple more radio shows. Everybody have a blessed night. Again, like I always tell you, go out and do something good for somebody tomorrow. When you hit your knees tonight and you pray to the big man upstairs, pray for this family, folks. I pray for you. I pray for your family. I pray for the Whittakers. I pray for the Kirk family tonight. I got to see his wife on TV tonight, and I pray for Charlie Kirk's family tonight. I really do. Everybody have a great night. God bless you, and we'll see you next time. Bye now.